Miss Lady Lace here, and today I have for you my Vintage Tea With Me series with Miss Lillian Rose. Thank you so much for joining us today, Miss Lillian.
Thank you, no worries, my pleasure.
So today we're actually doing a crossover blog. So I'm on her blog with the Limelights with Lillian series.
Yeah.
So you can head over in the link in the description below and check out that blog. But we'll be starting today with just a little interview, getting to know Miss Lillian and all she's about. Miss Lillian, you call yourself the Academic Pinup. Tell me a little bit about the meaning behind that for you.
Sure. So I have a postgraduate degree in psychology, and I love to read, and I love to conduct psychological research. And I found a couple of months ago that a lot of my friends and family and people in my circle refer to me as an academic anyway. So I just kind of combined my two greatest passions, academia and being a pinup, and we have the Academic Pinup.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
You mentioned you graduated under psychology. What sort of drew you towards mental health?
I've always been interested in understanding the way that people think, and more importantly, the link between people's thoughts and people's actions or their behaviour. I've always been a keen observer of behaviour ever since I was a little girl. And so I found that when I had to choose a career, law just wasn't cutting it for me.
Is that something you started in then?
It was.
Oh, I didn't know that about you.
Yes, yeah. A very brief career in law.
I could see you being a lawyer though.
Oh no. To be honest, I found the sexism to be too much for me to handle.
Yeah.
I did a stint in a law firm, and that cured me of any desire to want to go into law. So I was looking for something else to do, and my mum actually suggested to me psychology because she noticed that I was always interested in how people tick, and I always asked those super pertinent and sometimes inappropriate questions that got right to the core of someone's psyche. So she suggested psychology and I enrolled, and I haven't looked back.
Yeah, been hooked ever since.
Oh yes. Yeah.
I know we've personally spoken a little bit about your own mental health journey and sort of how it's evolved recently. Do you want to discuss a little bit further about how you've sort of come to where you are and about your autism and everything to do with that?
Sure. Well, as you just mentioned, in my final year, my honours year of psychology, I actually discovered that I have autism, high functioning adult autism spectrum disorder, the full name. So basically it means that I can function as a normal adult and do everyday things, but I'm just a little bit weird. So it explained a whole range of weird, quirky behaviours and thought patterns for me. For instance, I'm very much, I'm quite anal about everything being in its place. I love number sequences. I hate maths though, go figure. But everything has to be in its place. Everything has to be done in a specific order. I love routine, and if anyone messes with my routine, so help you God. So it explained a whole lot of things for me, and it just made me fall even further in love with psychology because I finally felt at peace. I had been teased often as a child because I was a little bit strange. I said strange things. I found it was very hard to communicate with people, and it was very hard to make friends and just be social. And I was teased for that, and I hated myself for a long time for that. And I thought it was my problem and something wrong with me. It's not something wrong with me, it's just that I have high functioning adult autism spectrum disorder. So it ticked a lot of the boxes. It answered a lot of questions that I'd had for a very, very long time. And I just love psychology because it gives you that power. It can answer the questions and it can make you understand yourself a little bit better.
Yeah, it's given you a new facet to yourself, and it'll help you move forward with your life as well.
That's it, and I'm actually quite proud of the label. Yeah. It answered a lot of questions for me, so it really helped.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
For people who maybe don't feel themselves, or maybe they're not feeling quite right, what would be your advice for them to sort of take action and step forward?
Definitely. So first of all, read. I love to read. I'm a great advocate of reading. Start maybe with the internet, the old Google search. I know it's a little bit scary, but start there. But most importantly, listen to yourself. Analyze your thoughts and your behaviours and the link between the two. You'd be surprised how many answers you can come up with on your own. If you find that that creates more distress though, or more questions that you can't answer, and you're not finding the answers you want in literature, then I would strongly suggest seeking help through a professional, a clinician or a counsellor. But sometimes talking to someone and getting a third perspective is all you really need. I'm not a big advocate of medication, but in some situations medication is also required, so that might be a step that needs to be taken. But start simple, start just sort of listening to yourself, maybe writing things down. A journal is wonderful, and once you see things written on paper, it can make things quite easy to understand. But if that doesn't work, definitely go speak to a professional. We're very nice people. You won't be judged.
Would you recommend maybe contacting a GP and getting a mental health plan?
Yes, yep, definitely. Mental health plans are wonderful. Again, they don't require medication most of the time, and it's something that you can start with. If you have a family GP, which you should definitely have, then they will have your history, they'll know who you are, and they might even notice that something's a little bit off before you do. So a GP is also definitely a good place to go.
Beautiful. Yeah. And if you notice maybe someone retracting from social situations, someone who usually is around, sort of stepping back, what would be your best course of action for that? Should we reach out to them? Should we give them space?
Definitely reach out. Sometimes people want space. I know that I love space. I'm one of those people, but it's always really nice to get that message so that you know that someone out there has, number one, noticed, and number two, cares, has taken the time to say, hey, are you okay? It doesn't have to be a novel about how much you love and cherish them. It can simply be, are you okay? It's a great mantra, it's a great question to ask people. So just a simple message with a nice love heart at the end to just let them know that they're cared about.
Definitely, because we're seeing quite a lot of suicides happening in celebrities, which is more sort of bringing it to the surface, and quite a lot of people do say, if you need me, reach out, but I think quite often those people aren't in the state of mind where they feel comfortable reaching out. So I think we definitely need to take that first step and check in with them to try and help as much as we can.
Yeah, you've got to take it to them, because if you are having mental health issues, talking about it can, number one, be a very hard thing to do. So if someone takes that step and takes the power from you of having to make that choice, it can be a lot easier to talk about when someone opens the door for you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Miss Lillian.
No worries.
Something I always promote is self-care. What would be your favourite self-care rituals that you like to do?
Ooh, alright, my favourite one. Okay, it would have to be the self-care day, because that just encompasses everything I love about self-care. I do this quite often, not as often as I'd like to do, unfortunately, but I try at least once a month to take one day where I don't look at my phone in a professional scope. I don't answer emails, I don't go to photo shoots, I don't work on manuscripts, I don't do anything that has any professional connotation. I take the time to spend with my partner Corey, or with our two beautiful cats Algernon and Grim, or I'll put on my favourite Elvis record and dance stupidly around my kitchen table. I'll bake sometimes, or I'll take a bath, or I'll do some stretches. Corey loves to walk, so sometimes we'll go for a walk. Sometimes I'll do absolutely nothing, and I mean that literally.
That sounds like a beautiful day.
That's it, yes. I'll sit on the couch and I'll binge watch something, usually RuPaul. Unfortunately, that's just
aren't we all
finished.
RuPaul? That's actually the inspiration behind this, because it's vintage tea with me. We're talking the tea and drinking tea.
Oh, yeah. I get it. Yeah. So I'd have to say a self-care day. If I can advocate anything, it would be having a self-care day once a month. You'd think it's not achievable, but it really is. Your mental health, you can't put a price on that.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
That's exactly right.
Thank you so much for joining us again today, Miss Lillian Rose. We've really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit better. And if you'd like to follow Miss Lillian Rose, all her links are in the description below, so I definitely recommend checking those out. I can't thank you all enough for supporting my fabulous little channel. As always, if you'd like to stay up to date with all my vintage fun, be sure to hit the subscribe button below, and I'll be seeing you all real soon.